She stepped out of the car without a sound. No chauffeur to open her door. No designer purse slung over her arm. No, I'm someone important, attitude. Just a pair of well-worn sneakers, a dark gray hoodie zipped to her chest, and a woman moving with quiet purpose. At first glance, you might have thought she was lost. That's exactly what the staff at the Fairstone Grand Hotel thought too. But what happens when the woman they dismissed turns out to own the entire building? Her name was Selina Hartwell, 51 years old, daughter of a night shift nurse and a janitor, born in a neighborhood where the streetlights flickered out more than they worked and where the only people who wore suits were funeral directors. And yet here she was, standing before the glass and granite entrance of the most luxurious hotel in Charleston, South Carolina. The one she designed, the one she quietly acquired 51% of, the one whose lobby she was now entering not as a VIP, but as a mystery. She'd come without warning, no assistant, no announcement, because Selina didn't want a red carpet. She wanted the truth. How do her employees behave when no one's watching? As she stepped through the gleaming revolving doors, the lobby unfolded exactly as she imagined it on the blueprints. Italian marble, velvet chairs, a chandelier shaped like a waterfall. Perfect, until people entered it. She approached the front desk. The young man behind it, Derek, barely looked up. "Hi," she said with a gentle smile. "I have a reservation. Last name Hartwell." Derek glanced briefly at her hoodie, then at the screen. "Hartwell? First name?" "Selina." His fingers tapped the keyboard with forced efficiency. "Nothing under that name," he said flatly. "Try Hartwell or under Farewell Hospitality. Suite 1502, she offered. His expression tightened. "There is a suite under Farewell Hospitality, but that's reserved for corporate use. I can't give that to guests like you." "Guests like you." She let the words hang. "Do you have a confirmation number?" he added, his tone cool, dismissive. "No," she said calmly. "It was booked internally. I'm the CEO." He blinked, smirked, then pressed a small button under the desk. "Just a moment," he said, and disappeared into the back. Selina turned her head slightly. A well-dressed couple had just walked in behind her, white, mid-50s, chatting about Napa wine. Derek returned seconds later, smile wide, handing them keys like old friends. No ID check, no delay, no questions. And there she was, still waiting. A security guard appeared moments later. Stocky, pale, buzz-cut. His hand casually rested on the belt near his walkie. "Ma'am, is there a problem?" he asked, looking her over like she might steal the ashtrays. "I'm trying to check in," Selina said evenly. "Already explained it." Before the guard could reply, the night manager arrived. A woman in her 40s, blonde, lipstick too red for a Tuesday night, heels clicking like punctuation marks. "I hear there's some confusion," she said, glancing at Selina's shoes. "No confusion," Selina said. "My name is Selina Hartwell. I booked this suite. I'm the CEO of the holding group." The woman arched an eyebrow. "Do you have ID?" Selina handed it over without hesitation, both her driver's license and a business card bearing her name in embossed gold. The manager looked at them, then back at Selina. "You look different than expected," she muttered. Selina met her gaze, unblinking. "What exactly did you expect?" No answer. "We've had impersonators before," the manager added. "I'm sure you understand." "Number, I don't." The tension thickened. The music in the lobby played on, like nothing was happening. But something was happening. Selina stood still. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't reach for status. She just let them make the next move. That's when Loretta entered the scene. Housekeeper, late 50s, dark skin, silver-streaked bun. She stepped quietly into the lobby to refill supplies from the side cabinet. The manager turned sharply. "Loretta, you don't need to be out here." But as Loretta passed Selina, she paused just long enough to whisper, "You just stand still, baby. Let 'em dig their own hole." It wasn't the first time Loretta had seen this play out. Selina didn't react. Not yet. Because this wasn't about rage. It was about revelation. Derek, the young clerk, now returned to the desk and asked with that same smirk, "You sure this is your hotel?" Selina didn't even blink. "I never said it was mine," she said, cool as marble. "I said I run it." The room went still. The couple at the bar stopped mid-sip. The security guard adjusted his stance. Even the jazz seemed to quiet. "I booked the room anonymously," she continued, "because I needed to see how you treat people when you think no one's watching." Then she pulled out her phone. "One call. 5 words. Activate the Charleston protocol. Now." And she set the phone on the counter. Still calm. Still standing. Still unseen, at least by those who weren't ready to look deeper. What they didn't know was that their world was about to shift. And it wouldn't be her voice that made it happen. It would be the silence they'd filled with judgment, now echoing back to confront them. For a moment, no one moved. The desk lights gleamed off the marble. The elevator chimed faintly somewhere in the background. But around Selina Hartwell, the lobby air felt suddenly sharp, like a room holding its breath. Derek didn't know what to do. He stared at the phone she'd just placed on the counter, like it might explode. The security guard, who still hadn't asked for her name, inched closer. His stance wasn't aggressive, now just confused. Defensive. Like someone realizing the rules might be changing mid-game. And behind the front desk, the manager Linda Ford stood frozen, one hand still clutching her clipboard like a lifeline. "Who did you just call?" she asked. Selena didn't answer right away. Instead, she turned her head slightly toward the velvet lounge in the corner where the couple from earlier now sat, pretending not to eavesdrop. Then she looked back at Linda. Someone who knows how to recognize a mistake when they see one. The tension crackled. But before Linda could fire back, the hotel doors whispered open behind them. Two men entered. One broad-shouldered, wearing a navy overcoat, the other lean with a sharp briefcase and Bluetooth in one ear. They didn't ask where to go. They didn't pause at the front desk. They walked straight towards Selena like soldiers arriving at a war zone they'd been briefed on. "Miss Hartwell," said the tall one, nodding. "I'm William Langston, Corporate Security and Compliance." The leaner man followed. "Julian Barrett, Internal Audit." They turned to Linda. And just like that, the air changed again. Linda's posture stiffened. Derek took a small step backward. Even the security guard moved aside, suddenly unsure of what authority he was supposed to protect. Julian pulled out a neatly folded memo and slid it across the desk. "This audit protocol was issued 2 weeks ago," he said flatly. "All property managers were notified that Miss Hartwell might visit under anonymity to assess staff conduct." Linda didn't even glance at the paper. "I wasn't told," she said quietly. Selena folded her arms. "That's funny," she said, "because your signature is on the memo." "A beat." William stepped closer. "Manager Ford, would you like to explain why the CEO of your parent company was denied entry to her own suite? Interrogated at check-in? Treated like a trespasser?" Linda's voice wavered. "We've had impersonators. It's protocol." "No," Selena cut in. "Protocol is asking questions. What you did was make judgments." Julian nodded. "This was a test. And you failed." The words hung heavy. But it wasn't over. From the corner near the staff hallway, someone stirred. It was Pamela, the hotel intern. Barely 22, oversized blazer, holding her phone like it weighed more than it should. She had been there the whole time, standing still, uncertain, watching it all unfold. Now, tentatively, she stepped forward. I recorded it," she said softly. Linda turned. "You what?" Pamela's voice shook but didn't break. "I didn't know what else to do. I just knew it wasn't right. I'm sorry." William took the phone gently. "Send it to my office," he said. "Immediately." Linda looked like someone who'd just watched her parachute snap mid-fall. "You're seriously going to use a video from an intern?" she hissed. "I'm going to use the truth," Selena replied, voice cool. "I don't care whose hands it comes from." Behind them, Loretta emerged again from the hallway. Still holding her mop. Still watching. She hadn't moved much since the chaos began, but now, she took one step forward. Her voice was calm, but rooted like an old tree. "That girl did right," she said. "She saw what happened. Just like I did." Pamela looked to Loretta like someone seeking shelter. But Loretta didn't offer comfort, she offered clarity. "Truth don't need permission," she said. Pamela hesitated. "But what if they fire me?" Loretta smiled, tired and firm. "Then they never deserved you." The words wrapped around the room like a warm, bitter wind. Everyone heard them. Even Derek. He shuffled behind the desk, trying not to meet anyone's eyes. Then, suddenly, he looked up into everyone's surprise. He walked straight toward Loretta. He spoke quietly, voice low like it might snap. "I didn't mean to treat her like that," he said. I didn't know who she was." Loretta didn't let him off easy. "That's the problem," she said. "You didn't ask. You didn't wonder. You looked at her sneakers, and her skin, and you made up your mind." Derek's face flushed red. Loretta stepped back, not unkindly, but with finality. "You still got time to learn," she said, "but learning starts with owning the mess." Derek stood still. No excuses. No rescue coming. Just the sound of everyone realizing this lobby was no longer the place they thought it was. Selena turned to William and Julian. "Make sure they all see that video," she said. William nodded. "Already uploading to internal staff review." Selena didn't gloat. She didn't smile. She just turned to Linda and said, "You thought I didn't belong here. But I built this place so everyone would." Then she walked to the lobby doors. Not to leave, but to breathe. Outside, the wind brushed across her cheek like memory. She stood still. She had stayed. They hadn't. But this wasn't over. It was just beginning. Back inside, the lobby lights glinted, like they were trying to reflect something, clean something this room hadn't seen in a while. Selena Hartwell stood tall in the center, flanked by William Langston and Julian Barrett. On the surface, it looked like corporate intervention. But in reality, this was a reckoning. Julian stepped behind the front desk and tapped a few buttons on the control screen. The lobby monitor normally used for promotional slideshows suddenly flickered. A still frame filled the screen. Selena, standing calmly. Derek leaning away from her. Tom the security guard inching forward with suspicion. Linda's arms crossed, clipboard drawn like a weapon. Then came the audio. Linda's clipped tone, "We've had impersonators before. I'm sure you understand." Derek's sarcastic smirk, "You sure this is your hotel?" Tom's voice, steady but cold. "You just hanging around the desk then?" Every word rang out. No one could stop it now. 30 seconds. That's all it took. But it felt like Judgment Day. When the video ended, the silence was deafening. Pamela stood frozen, her phone still in her hand. Loretta didn't move, but her eyes were sharp as steel. Derek looked like he wanted to disappear into the marble. Linda, however, tried one last time to regain control. "This is a misunderstanding," she said. "That's all." She looked out of place. Selena turned her head, slowly. "Out of place?" she repeated. "In the building I funded? In the lobby I designed?" Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. "You saw my skin, my sneakers, and you decided I wasn't who I said I was." She looked at Julian. "Play Pamela's footage." Pamela flinched. Are you sure?" Selena gave her the smallest nod. Pamela connected her phone. Another video appeared, this time from the side, grainier, more human. It showed everything. The moment Linda rolled her eyes, the security guard's posture, Derek smirking at the computer. No edits, no excuses. Julian clicked pause. "Effective immediately," he said. "Manager Linda Ford is suspended pending formal review. If the board agrees, termination will follow." Linda went pale. "I've been here 11 years. And this is what you did on the night you thought no one was watching," William said. Derek spoke up, voice cracking. "What about me? Am I fired?" Julian stared at him. "No," he said. "Not yet. You'll undergo mandatory retraining. Bias, ethics, hospitality, you'll be on probation. If you fail again, it's over." Derek nodded stiffly. No protest this time. Then Selena turned to Loretta. "You passed the test," she said. Loretta looked surprised. "All I did was get water." "No," Selena said. "You saw what mattered when no one else did. You brought dignity into this lobby when they were too busy guarding policy." Behind them, a new sound rose. Applause. Slow, hesitant but real. It came from the woman at the bar. Then her husband. Then the concierge who'd been watching silently from the hall. Even the bellboy, no older than 19, clapped twice before stopping, unsure. But it was enough. For the first time that evening, Selena allowed herself a breath. She had stayed. And now, so had the truth. The next morning, the atmosphere inside Fairstone Grand had changed. Not in decoration, not in fragrance, but in tone. The front desk ran quieter. Staff stood straighter. Guests lingered, eyes darting with curiosity, aware that something had shifted beneath the marble. In the conference room, every department had gathered: housekeeping, concierge, security, valet, and even catering. No one wanted to miss what came next. Selena didn't sit at the head of the table. She stood near the center, visible, grounded. "You all know who I am now," she began. "But last night, most of you didn't. And how I was treated proved something I've feared for a long time." She looked around, letting her words settle. "That this hotel looks inclusive on paper, but acts selective in practice." Julian clicked the projector. Security footage rolled again, this time muted. Then charts appeared. Guest complaints, unexplained cancellations, reviews that hinted at something deeper. "This wasn't isolated," William said. "This was culture." "And culture," Selena added, "is what happens when no one's supervising." Pamela sat near the back, her phone beside her. When Selena pointed to her, the young intern looked up with startled eyes. "Pamela recorded because she didn't know what else to do," Selena said. "She didn't do it for attention. She did it for accountability." Julian nodded. "That's why she'll be continuing with us." Pamela's jaw dropped. "You'll report directly to the guest experience division," he added, "if you accept." Pamela nodded quickly, overcome with quiet shock. Selena turned to the room again. "Let me be clear," she said. "No one is being punished for asking questions. You're being held accountable for how and why you ask them." She paused. "Every guest deserves dignity, whether they walk in wearing a $1,000 suit or a hoodie and sneakers." Across the room, Loretta smiled for the first time that day. Outside the glass lobby, Charleston woke slowly. The sun crept between colonial bricks, the streetcars hummed again, and the city moved on, unaware that within this hotel, a storm had passed. But those inside? They wouldn't forget it. Not the video. Not the silence. And not the woman who stood still long enough to let the truth speak for her. The lobby was quiet again. But it wasn't the hush of a polished hotel trying to appear calm. It was the silence after a storm, the kind that stays, even when the rain has stopped. Selena Hartwell stood once more in the very center of it. No heels clicking, no suit pressed sharp, still in her sneakers, still in her gray hoodie, still herself. And now, scene. She glanced at the staff one final time, Derek behind the desk, face pale but lifted. Tom the security guard near the corner, hands clasped, no longer gripping control. Loretta with her mop tucked neatly by the wall, and Pamela, standing quietly with the phone that had changed everything. Selena cleared her throat, softly. "I didn't come here to fire anyone," she said. Her voice was low, but it carried through the entire lobby. "I came here to see the truth, and the truth is, I could have walked away. I could have made one call and replaced every single person standing here, but that would have solved nothing." No one moved. "Because this," she said, motioning toward the room, "wasn't just about one bad night. It was about a bad habit." Her gaze lingered on each of them, not to shame, but to challenge. "I don't want a hotel that treats important people well. I want a hotel that doesn't need to know who you are in order to treat you like a human being." A ripple of breath moved through the room. Pamela swallowed hard. Derek blinked twice, his mouth pressing into something between guilt and realization. And then, Selena did something no one expected. She walked over to the staff bulletin board near the elevators, the one cluttered with laminated schedules and food service memos. She reached into her coat and unfolded a piece of cream paper. No logo, no signature. Just 12 words, typed simply. She pinned it to the board and stepped back. "Don't just train them to serve, teach them to see people." She didn't say a word about it. She didn't have to. Later that afternoon, Selena returned to the suite she had been denied the night before. Room 1502. It looked the same, tastefully arranged pillows, a bottle of overpriced sparkling water, a view of Charleston's sleepy skyline. But it felt different now. She sat at the desk, opened her laptop, didn't check emails, didn't launch reports. She opened a blank document and typed, "Dear Mama, last night, I stood still. I didn't shout, I didn't beg. I let them see who they thought I was, and then I let them find out who I really am." Her fingers paused, then moved again. "You always told me, if they don't open the door, build a better one. So I built Fairstone, brick by brick, policy by policy. But last night I saw the crack in my own door. The one I didn't know had formed. And Mama, it wasn't the racism that hurt most. I've seen that before. It was the silence. The silence from people who should have known better. The silence that says, let someone else speak." She blinked on, see no tears. Just clarity. "But I didn't flinch, Mama. I stayed. I stayed so that the next girl in sneakers and tired eyes doesn't have to justify her presence. I stayed so that Loretta wouldn't be invisible, so Pamela wouldn't be scared, so Derek might stop choosing indifference, and so that this hotel finally becomes what it was meant to be." She leaned back, let the words settle. Then she closed the laptop unsaved. Because some things don't need to be published. They just need to be said, even if only to yourself. At sunset, Selena exited the hotel through the same revolving doors she entered through the night before. But this time, the air didn't feel heavy. It felt like release. As she stepped outside, she passed a young staff member, maybe 19, maybe new, maybe watching. He straightened his posture, nodded respectfully. "Good evening, ma'am." Selena didn't correct him. She simply nodded back. "Evening." Somewhere behind her, inside the lobby, the guests continued to come and go. The jazz still played through hidden speakers. The floors still gleamed under soft light. But the people? They'd changed. They spoke more carefully, listened more attentively, looked at guests just a second longer, not to judge, but to truly see. This wasn't a story about a woman getting revenge. It wasn't about power, or titles, or ownership. It was about what happens when a person refuses to be erased. When she doesn't demand respect but teaches people what it looks like. And in doing so, she leaves something behind. Not a name. Not a plaque. But a standard. Now let me ask you. Have you ever judged someone too quickly just by what they wore? By how they looked? By what you assumed they were? And if you had to meet that person again tomorrow, would you treat them the same? Let me know in the comments. Because sometimes the loudest change starts with the quietest person in the room.